the start of it. Okay, thank you for coming today, guys, to the online safety talk with Richard, and also the talk for the Kingsholm tablet workshop with myself. Just going to start with talking you through, first of all, just introducing Richard, and then talking you through the agenda today, and then I'll hand over to Richard for the first part of the session. Okay, so thank you for coming today, Richard. So Richard set up the Stay Safe initiative initially in 2013.
Yeah,
I believe I did my research, Richard.
Yeah.
Initially in 2013, where it was very much focused on sort of the original subjects of bullying and abduction prevention. And then what he noticed over time is that actually what schools needed and what young children needed was actually more around online safety and internet safety advice. So in 2019, he set up his Stay Safe initiative. Okay, so that's what he's coming into school today to work with yourselves, but also with the children throughout the day. So for children from years 2 to year 6. So we're going to be starting with that. So Richard's going to be just sharing some information on how to keep your children safe online, at home, but also what we might be doing in school. Then myself, I'll look at part 2. We'll be looking at the Kingsholm digital strategy, the rationale behind it and what we're doing. Then I'll touch on, okay, how are we keeping the children safe using the tablets at school, and how we're going to be doing that when they do eventually take them home. And then we're going to be talking about next steps. Okay, so what does the next step for the rest of this academic year look like? Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Richard.
Thank you very much. Thank you. First of all, I just want to say it's really, really positive to see so many parents come to this session. This is an extremely important topic, and schools across the country, and Kingsholm is just one of them, are doing the best that they can to support young people online. And part of my job today is to support your children. We're running various workshops throughout the day from year 2 to year 6, helping children to understand the online world, helping them to think critically about how they consume content, what they do, who they do it with, how they can be safe and have a positive online life. But we also know that one of the missing pieces of the puzzle in children's safety is what happens when they leave school. And this topic, the online world, is generally going to be involved outside of school. So it's really, really positive to see parents, you guys, that are invested in your child's online lives and their development and their safety. So again, thank you for that. What I'm going to do in the next half an hour is just give you some basic advice that you can take away with you today to help think about how you can keep your children safer online. You don't need to be a tech expert to do that. You don't need to know all the ins and outs of every single app, game and platform that your children use. All you need to do is be curious, be interested, play an active role, and your life experience will do all of the hard work for you. So I think it's really important to start off with that. You don't need to know all the ins and outs. You just need to have an active role, and that's what I'm going to help you with in the next half an hour. And a great place to start, and I recommend all families do this, and following a session like today, especially as I'm working with your children as well, a great way to start is to sit down as a family and have some discussions. And as it says on the screen, discuss, agree, and set boundaries together. Now, boundaries are extremely important for children in all aspects of their life, both on and offline. Boundaries allow families to create a flexible framework that can get everyone starting off on the right foot at the start. Now, I like the term boundaries and not rules, because applying rules, having children myself, as soon as you apply a rule, most children just want to break that rule. And that makes it really hard for all of us. So what I like to do is talk about boundaries. Now, children are familiar with boundaries. They will have boundaries in this school. They will have boundaries at home in regards to how they live their life offline. And if we can think about putting boundaries in regards to what they do on the internet as well, this is a really great place to start. So what I'm going to recommend that you do is sit down with your children and talk about the online world. Now that could be, now they've got, these are Russian parents. You want me just to hold, oh, I can just see this. I will do, yeah. You jumped the gun there, John. We asked, well, we'll just wait for these guys to come in because this is, we want them to hear this as well.
Hi everyone. That's my, yeah. Very keen to start with Richard.
Yeah. See, look, there's more coming now.
Fashionably late.
That's it. Brilliant. Okay, so welcome the guys that just, don't worry, you haven't missed anything. We sort of started a little bit too early. But yeah, welcome everyone that's just joined us. I was just about to sort of start this session by looking at things that we can do as a family to help our children be safer online. And a great starting point is, and again, following a day like today, especially as I'm spending the day working with your children and following the information that you're going to get today, this is a really good opportunity to sit down as a family and have some discussions with your children about the online world. And as I just said, setting boundaries are really, really important. This puts everyone in starting off on the right foot. And when I talk about boundaries, what I'm really looking at is building a framework, a flexible framework of acceptable use of how we use the online world, what we do, how we do it, when we do it, and who we do it with. And this really, really helps a family move forward correctly. So these are some of the things that I'm going to recommend you talk to your children about. It could be having discussions about what apps or games they use, or when you think it's the appropriate time for them to use certain platforms and games. It could be having a discussion with your children about what their friends do, and again, all agreeing the right time to use certain apps and platforms. It could be having a discussion about screen time. Now, I know I've got children at home myself and I work with parents all the time. Screen time is definitely one of the biggest battles in most households. And the battle is usually this. Children want to spend all time on screens. Parents are constantly trying to get them off screens. And this is the battle. And lots of parents will say to me, certainly in regards to screen time, how much time is safe? How much time is acceptable? How much time is okay? And I get it, it's a really difficult question. What I like to do, and this will help you talk to your children about screen time, is what I encourage families to do is to try to take a step back from just being fixated on a number. Is an hour okay? Is half hour okay? Is 2 hours okay? What I like to do is to get people to think about what they are doing on screens. This will help you think about what's acceptable. So when we look at screen time, I like to sort of put screen time into two categories: positive use of screen time and negative use of screen time. So a positive use of screen time could be a child at home. They are on a device, they're on a screen, but they are using that screen to chat to a friend. They may be texting their friend, they may be on a video call or a FaceTime call. They're essentially socializing, but the only reason why they're socializing, the only reason why they're on a screen is that person they're socializing with isn't in the room with them at the moment. And I would say that would be a positive use of screen time. They're socializing, they're building social skills, they're communicating. So you may want to think actually that we can be a bit more flexible in that area. But then you have obviously got the negative side. You've got a child on a device, they're sitting watching a platform like YouTube. That platform has been set up with the function called autoplay. Autoplay is a function that you may not have heard of, but you will be familiar with it. That's basically when you're on a video platform like YouTube, and you probably would have had this at home. You watch a video, the minute that video finishes, you've got like a 3-second gap, and then it already starts to play the next suggested video for you. That's a feature called autoplay, which you can turn off, by the way. So you've got a child, they're sitting in front of a screen, they're watching a video platform like YouTube, and they're just watching video after video after video after video. And it's gone past the point of being entertaining or even interest at that point, and it's now just starting to eat away at their time. And obviously children find it really hard to regulate their time. That's where we as families and parents and carers come in. They find it really hard to pull themselves away from screens. So that would be a negative use. And if we can talk to our children about what they are doing on screens, this now helps them as well, start to build up a healthy relationship with screens. So when you're having conversations at home about screen time, ask your children, what are you doing on screens? Get them to think about the difference between positive and negative. Again, this helps them to start to think about, oh, that is actually a difference. And if I'm going to go online, if I'm going to go on a screen, and I can make it a positive use of my time, chatting to a friend, watching a video, connected to a hobby they have, doing some research for a homework project, this is all my positive use. And again, it helps them to build healthy habits as they grow. It could be having a discussion with your children about where in the home, in the house, they use the online world. Now, I always recommend to parents of young children, and I would put all children in a primary school setting as young children. We always recommend that parents encourage their children to access the online world in public parts of the home, where you guys are around, in the living room, in the kitchen. Now, there's obviously a safety reason here, and this is fairly obvious. If a child is on a device in a private part of the home where there is no one around, we can't guarantee that that device is being used appropriately or potentially safely, or we can't see what they're doing or who they're doing it with. So there's definitely a safety implication here. But there's also another real benefit from having them around you, is if you are around, now you have you are now in the possibility to talk to them. You're now in a situation where you can play an active role. Communication, and this will make sense as we go through, communication is key. Knowing what your children are doing, talking to them about what they are doing, playing an active role with what they are doing, gives you the ability to guide them and support them. And showing an interest in what they're watching on a video platform, who they're playing a game with. This all gives you the opportunity to talk to them about safety. And again, it puts you in their digital life with them. If you start to think about having conversations when your children get a lot older and then play an active role, what lots of parents do when they're reaching their teenage years, it's a lot harder. So if they're around you, you can talk about the online world and you can support them as they go forward. So think about where they access the online world at home. And last but not least, this is something that we all really need to do. And this is one thing that parents don't really like me saying, but I'm going to say it. Lead by example. Teach your children, show your children that you have a healthy relationship with technology and screens as well. Because can we expect children to come off screens if we find it hard to come off them ourselves? I would argue no. So think about your relationship with technology. Think about how you use the online world at home and try to really lead by example. That could be, and all households are different, by the way, and it's not my job to teach you how to be a parent, but it's my job to help you think about things. So it could be, no devices at the dinner table. It could be having a cut-off point in the day or in the evening where everyone comes offline, including us. It could be having tech-free days, and lots of families have different ways of doing it. But what we expect our children to do, we really should be doing that as well. So think about the message that you show your children. Think about the relationship that you have with technology, and that will again help your children be safe. And when we start to think about being safe, this is definitely one of the biggest questions I get from parents. Is it safe? Keeping up with the constant evolution of apps and games and platforms that are continuously coming out, it's really hard. I totally get that. And lots of parents will ask me, is this game safe? Is this app safe? Is it suitable? So to help you answer these questions, there's a few things that we can look at. Now, first of all, we all know that lots of things have an age rating. This is always my baseline level for anything. If a parent says, is it okay? I would always ask, well, what's the age? What's the age verification or the age rating for this particular app, game or platform? Is this actually suitable for my 8-year-old child, for example? That will always be your starting point. But the reality is it's not just about age. Age is only your starting point. If we want to keep children safe, we really want to understand about what they can do on these particular app, games and platforms. And that's where the functions come in. And understanding the functions really helps us to understand or identify where the potential risk may lie. And most of the things that we all do online, including our children, are fairly limited in their functions. And they're usually broken down into these 4 on screen: viewing, chatting, sharing, and friending. I'm going to go through these in a little bit of detail now, but very quickly, viewing is what they can see, what they can be exposed to. Chatting, can they talk to someone and other people? Can they share within that platform or game? And can they add friends on this particular platform or game? Generally, when you add someone as a friend, that opens up extra lines of communication for chatting in private or sending direct messages, for example. And if we can understand what the functions are, we can now start to think about, 1, is it safe? 2, are they ready? And 3, are you comfortable with them having the ability to do these things? So the perfect example would be this. Your child comes home from school today and they've heard about a new show on Netflix and they say to you, can I watch it? Well, the function that we're only concerned here would be this one, viewing, because you can't talk on Netflix, you can't share within the platform, you can't add friends. It's just a video platform. So all we would really need to know about is one function, and that is the viewing aspect. What can they see on this show or film? Is it suitable? Is it age appropriate? That makes it really hard, really easy for us, just like taking our children to the cinema. We need the age rating. That gives us a good indication, is it suitable? But when we start to think about other platforms like gaming platforms like Roblox or messaging platforms like WhatsApp, lots of these functions now start to come into play. You may be happy with some aspects, but you may not be happy with all of them. For example, there could be a game that is a game, it's rated as a child, it's child friendly, it's suitable for children, and it's got a low age rating, maybe like a 7+. And you think, well, actually, I'm happy for my child to play this game because it's suitable. So the viewing side of things, you're happy with the content of the game. But that same game has other functions connected to it. It's also a game that you can play with other people. So there is an element of chatting. You could potentially add friends. You may even be able to share things with each other. And you may think, well, I'm happy with the game, but I'm not comfortable with the other stuff. These are things that we can start to think about. And again, if you can understand the functions, now we can start to identify where the risks may lie. And I'm going to go through some of them risks with you now. So the first one, viewing. Obviously, we know that the online world was not built with children in mind. And the reason why I say that, there is a lot of content online that's not suitable for children. There is lots of adult content. There is lots of violent content. There is lots of inappropriate content online. And it is really, really hard to avoid that. Something that we really need to be aware of. Just because it's on the internet, it doesn't always mean it's going to be suitable. So they may be exposed to content that you didn't want them to be exposed to, or you didn't think they was going to be exposed to. If we know this exists, we can have communications with our children about it. Chatting, who can they talk to? Now, it's become very common for children to communicate on the apps and games they play and use. Now, talking to a friend from school, no problem. I would say that would be a positive use of being online. But unfortunately, if they're talking to other people that they don't know, this is where the potential grooming or exploitation can come into play. So who they're talking to is really, really important as well. Knowing who they are communicating with and how they are communicating is also things that we need to invest time through having conversations with our children about. And they add friends. As I said, lots of things, lots of games that allow you to add friends. opens up extra lines of communication where you can chat in private, for example. And again, this has become part of how children use the online world. They will quite often add people on games and apps that they use, and they will see them as their online friends, but they are essentially strangers. They've never met them, but because they play the same games as them, they associate that person with being just like them, another friend. So quite often, and this will be evident today, quite often when I'm working with children in schools and we talk about how they are connected, I'll have children saying, oh, I've got hundreds of friends on these platforms. I've got hundreds of friends on these games. And when I say, oh, are they friends that you know from school? Or are they friends that you know in your real life? 9 times out of 10, they'll say, well, some of them, but most of them I've never met before. They're just my friends on Roblox, or they're just my friends on Minecraft. But it's really important that we know that just because they see them as a friend, unfortunately, they are not. So again, we can talk to our children about this. Who are they connected with? Do they actually know these people? And sharing. They can quite often share things with each other. So this is where we start to look at messaging apps and platforms like WhatsApp, where lots of parents may allow their children to use these platforms to keep in touch with their friends, but they're not always aware that what can happen on these platforms. Platforms like WhatsApp, even if you've just got the ability to text, are being used far more than just texting and sending silly emojis. They are also sharing content. Now, this is why I said the online world wasn't built with children in mind. There is a lot of inappropriate content online, and it only takes one person to discover something that's not suitable. This could be an adult website. This could be a harmful video that they've downloaded off of a social media platform, and now they can text it or share it with everyone in school. That means it only takes one person to potentially infiltrate the whole class. Now, we've all seen this concept. This is why it's so common for children to be exposed to things that are not suitable for them. It doesn't mean that they're all looking for it, but it does mean that sometimes people are sharing. And again, if we can understand if they can share, we can now start to talk about keeping them safe. So talking is key. Really, really is. Have as many open and honest conversations with your children about how they use the online world. Have an interest. Talk to them. And these are always my 3 steps for parents to take. Be open, be positive, and be curious. Be open to having conversations. Be open to hear what your children have to say. Always try to direct them to the positive sides of the online world. It's here. It's part of our life. These are why the school are setting up schemes to help your children build these skills online. So always try to look at the positive outcomes, and definitely be curious. The best way that we can support children is getting them to share with us. So ask them questions, be inquisitive, be curious, not furious. Get them to talk to you. That way you can now guide them and support them, and you will be amazed. You show an interest in a video that they're watching or a game they are playing, they'll be more than happy to share with you. And again, if we can get that open dialogue and have these open conversations as regular as possible, now we can all start moving forward on the right foot. There are obviously tools that you can utilize as well at home in regards to what your children do. First of all, we all use it all the time, Google. If your child comes home and they are asking to play a new game or use a new app, the first thing we can do is be informed. Jump online, Google it. I've got loads of resources that I'll be sending to the school after today that will help you do this. Find out a little bit about it. That could be finding out what the risks are associated with these games. It could be how can we make that environment safer by utilising various safety settings. Now, most of the things we do at home allow us to set things up a little bit safer. But unfortunately, there isn't a magic setting and there isn't a magic button. What we want to try to do when we think about keeping the online world, the environment safe for children, is take a 3-step approach. And I'm going to share them 3 steps with you now. The first one is the home. If your children have access to the online world at home, the first thing we can do is make sure that our internet, our home router, that will distribute Wi-Fi around the home is set up as safe as can be by utilising internet filters. Now, the devices that you're going to be bringing home are going to have this already installed, but Your children may have access to other devices at home as well. They may be searching on a family laptop or iPad or have a games console. So we want to make sure what they can search, view and download is suitable. And I've got loads of guides that I'll be sending through to the school that will help you set up your home internet as safe as can be. Once we set the home up, we can now start to look at the devices that our children are using. Now, the devices that are coming to the school, lots of this will be done. But as I said, lots of families have other devices that children use. So most devices you will have at home, this could be your son or daughter's like Xbox or games console. It could be a smart TV. It could even be an Alexa that you have at home. They will all have various forms of parental controls. This allows us to put an extra level of safety. And I've got lots of guides coming to you that will show you how to set things up safer. If we can set the devices up, we can make sure they're a little bit safer than they were when they started. And the last step is what they are actually doing on their devices. So this is where we start to look at the apps, games and platforms that they're accessing. All of these will have their own settings as well. This is why just setting the home internet, it doesn't always work, because the device will have their own settings. The games and apps they use will have additional settings. So what we want to try and do is set all of them 3 steps up, controlling who they can speak to, controlling who they can see in the chat function, controlling who can leave comments, maybe you preventing them from searching on the internet and things like that. All of my guides that I'll be sending you will allow you to do all of this easily. So set the control, set the environment up as safe as can be. That way we have a little bit more peace of mind when our children go online. A strong recommendation is when you have, as I touched on earlier, when you have children at home that are on their devices, especially when they start to have their own personal devices, a strong recommendation would be to stop your children having devices in their bedroom overnight. That's why I use the term no digital sleepovers. I always talk to children in school that will say to me, I've got a device at home, I'm allowed it in my bedroom, and I'm also allowed it in my bedroom overnight. This is a massive safeguarding concern, because if they have been communicating with someone that they don't know, and that person they've been communicating with them hasn't got your children's best interests at heart, they may have an unhealthy interest in children, they will ask children, do you have a device? Do you have a phone? Are you on WhatsApp? Or what apps do you use? Are you allowed it in your bedroom? Are you allowed it in your bedroom overnight? And that will give them the opportunity, oh, well, let's talk later. Let's talk later when mum and dad aren't around. This is quite often adults posing as children. And if a child is at home on a device overnight where no one can supervise, we cannot guarantee their safety. So a strong recommendation was make sure that devices are out of the bedroom, especially when it's time to go to bed. And last but not least, check devices. It is okay to check. I'm not suggesting that you spy on your children and not check every single thing they do, because we want to build a relationship of trust. But when I say checking devices, what I do recommend is that you check activity. Make sure you are aware of what's been downloaded on that device. Make sure they're using things that you've agreed on. Make sure that they are staying within the parameters of what we've agreed when it comes to spending time on that device. Most devices will allow you to check this through like screen time reports. And again, I've got loads of information and guides that will help you do this. Making sure that device is being used appropriately, and this goes right back to the start when we look at setting boundaries, all makes us aware that we're all on the right page. So check. Talk to your children about checking. Make sure they know that I'm going to check from time to time. Not because we don't trust you, because we want to build trust, but we want to make sure that we're all using this correctly. That way you can show us that you can be trusted. You can show us that you are building this healthy relationship with the online world, and it helps us to go forward. These are really simple things that we can all do. And as I said at the start, it's all about communication. Go on this journey with your children. That way you can help them, you can guide them, you can talk about risk, and you can support them. This is the magic potion, it really is. And if more families do this, we can all move forward together. And again, we can all form healthier and safer relationships with the online world. I'm going to hand back to John. Thank you very much, guys. As I said, I've got loads of resources that's going to support you in all the things that I said, guides that will help you do lots of things that I shared, and lots more. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that.
Thank you, Richard. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you, following on from Richard, a bit about, okay, what does that mean for our digital strategy in school? So I'll explain what a digital strategy is in brief. I'll talk to you about the rationale as to why we need one, why it's so important, and then we'll get into sort of the plan going forward then with using the tablets. Okay, so digital strategy, in essence, it's a plan. It's a plan of all things computing. So some of the things that we've got on the digital strategy as a school, it might be a plan for how we're going to use the tablets. It might be a plan for how we're going to develop staff understanding. It might be a plan for safeguarding online safety. So there's lots of things that will filter into it. But the reason why it's so important that we do consider this as a school, every school should have one, it's the reality that, you know, technology isn't disappearing. And if anything, it's just increasing and becoming more and more complex, you know, for teachers to sort of grasp, but also for, as parents as well. So the reality is, if we're not embracing it and we're not learning with the times, then actually it will just outgrow us. Okay, if we think of some of the powers around artificial intelligence at the moment, you know, there's a lot of amazing stuff that's, you know, going on with that. But also as human beings, we do need to make sure that we are able to regulate that and understand it. So, you know, embracing it is part of the process of learning. And we want to do that to keep us safe as parents, but also to keep our children safe. We want to keep them safe, but also prepare them as a school for when they go on into secondary school and beyond from that. And then actually, with our digital strategy and with what we're trying to achieve within the sort of curriculum subjects that we're developing this year and into next year, it actually aligns with our curriculum vision. What we're trying to do is make it more exciting, more relatable for the children. That's why we feel like it's really, really important. So, the plan. I did this, you're not slow. Okay, so the initial part, this was done in the summer term. It's to purchase tablets from year 2 to year 6. This has already been done, a massive investment from the school. The reason why we've done this is because, as I said just now, we want to make the curriculum more relatable, more exciting through the use of technology, through other things as well with our outdoor learning. But this is just one mechanism we're going to use. Now, it's not just a case of purchasing the tablets, because to do that, you know, anyone could go out and purchase however many tablets. The reality behind setting up these tablets, there's a lot of thought process and a lot of man hours that have gone into this. So it's even things like taking down the serial numbers of the 450 tablets that we purchased. It's then setting them up for the school network. It's then thinking about how we can use our filtering and monitoring systems with that. So it was a massive, massive job, which took many weeks in the summer holidays with myself, some other members of the team, but also we worked really closely with some of the IT technicians from Gloucestershire County Council, so they supported us in the process. In the summer term also, so in the summer holidays, we developed a digital citizenship pathway, and that has been delivered in the autumn and is ongoing throughout this spring term. The purpose behind this was one, just to make sure that our children understand how to be safe on those tablets. Now, it's not the only way we're talking about it. So, you know, Richard's coming today. He's going to be talking to our children about it as part of the Stay Safe initiative. We've also got our PSHE curriculum that talks about it. So the digital citizenship pathway was just one way of doing it. We've also we designed this pathway just to make sure that our children were competent users of the tablets that we purchased. Because what we didn't want to do is get to this point where we're sending the tablets home and actually children not know how to function and to work the tools on that. Okay, so this is all part of actually them becoming competent users and, you know, preparing them for those devices to when they're working on them independently. Ongoing throughout this academic year, and Mrs. Howarth is at the back, so she's been working with myself and other members of the school team to think about digital strategy and computing and the use of the tablets when we're designing the curriculum subject. So if I just take one subject, for example, art, you may have seen this in the art exhibition, but there was a computing strand within that, more specifically around photography. So using digital photography as a tool to develop their understanding of art. photography is massive, it's needed in the modern world. And that's just one way how we've utilised the tablets to develop children's understanding. So that will be ongoing. We're currently looking at history. Summer term will be computing and also geography. And then next year we'll be looking at the other subjects as well. But that's the sort of plan going forward, and that's an ongoing process. We can't forget this. So thinking about adapting policy, so it's making sure that our policies are fit for what we're trying to achieve at Kingsholm. So the current policy, as you may have seen on the website, may have not, doesn't necessarily reflect the use of the tablets going home and the policy needed and the thought process needed to make sure we keep our children safe. So that will need to be adapted in order to, once they do go home, it's ready for us all to refer to ensure the main things to keep our children safe. And also, the home learning policy will need to be adapted as well to reflect what we want to achieve with the tablets. So this has been done, the home learning. So just to sort of, I haven't sent it out to parents yet. We are going to be trialling it with a specific year group. But the purpose of the home learning policy with tablets is what we're going to be trialling is only sending them home on weekends, just for now. And the idea being there will just be 3 things on there. So it will be the use of Myon reading, which I know a lot of you are familiar with. It will be the use of Timetable Rockstars, and then there'll be an activity through Class Dojo linked to some of the learning that they're doing in class. Now, I can't stress to you that this isn't a necessity. Okay, we're not saying that children need to take home the tablets and work on them on the weekends. That's not what we're saying. Because the importance of extracurricular activities, I know children go to dance, gymnastics, ballet, football, rugby. We don't want to take that away from the children, and we don't want the time taken up doing this. So this is all about, as Richard described earlier on, just using a sort of bit of sensible sort of judgment around, what's acceptable, what isn't, and communicating with the teacher around that. Okay. And then finally, we will be sending them out, starting with summer 1. I'll talk to you in a bit of a detail in a second about what that looks like. But the idea being it will support the home learning that the children are sort of doing. So, obviously, Richard being here, it's great to have you here today, Richard, and I can't stress to you the importance of keeping our children safe. That has to be at the forefront of everything we've done through our digital strategy. So I sort of like to think of it as a bit like a puzzle. And actually, in order for us to be able to try and keep our children safe, because inevitably it is the responsibility of everyone, children included, that actually those pieces do need to come together and work together to try. So just going to talk to you about what we've done as a school with the tablets to try and mitigate some of the dangers on the internet, but also how we plan to safeguard them as well. So the first thing is filtering and monitoring. So what we've done is we've brought into a software package called Exasur Protect. Now, businesses use this, schools use this. It's not just specific for schools. But the idea is that it filters what our children can access. So in terms of filtering, what that means is we can specify through sort of like a thematic approach what our children can access. So what I mean by that, there might be something around within a theme on the Exasur Protect monitoring around adult content, for example. But this can be really broad. Okay, so wherever your brain is going right now, yes, it's that, but also it's things around sort of films that are 18 plus or 16 plus. Okay, so it's really, really broad, and it filters out that content that the children can access. But also, and what for me is really, really important as well, is it monitors it. So what it does, and it's been happening in school so far, so if a child types in something like, I know this is very, very broad, but how to, I won't tell you some of the things that might happen, but how to build something inappropriate, for example. What that will do is it will then flag up on Miss Field and myself. What we'll get is a notification on through our email, and it will basically tell us who and what has been searched for. And then we can then go and have those conversations with the child, but also with parents if needed. Okay, So that's what's going on in school. Now, this is also set up on the devices. So when children will be going home with the tablets, that Exa Surf Protect is on the tablet at all times. And actually, when they go home, when they log into the internet, when they click on Safari, it's not Apple, but when they click on, I think it's Microsoft Edge on the tablets, when they click on that to go and surf the internet, they have to apply a specific username and password. Now that we hold that information, that's linked to them in school. Now, the reason why that we've got that is it's called a captive portal. So what that does is when they log into that, okay, we can then monitor what they are searching for. If it's anything inappropriate, then it will flag up on our systems. So that's just one way we're trying to safeguard our children through the use of the school device at home, okay? Now, when we do send tablets home, this information will be coming home with the children. But in terms of your Wi-Fi itself, it's not going to be monitoring, you know, what you guys are searching on your phones and everything else. It's just specific to that device. Because as a school, we have to take some responsibility to safeguard our children. And so that's why the device itself is what is being monitored, and what's being searched for in that device is what will sort of be notified of if it is inappropriate. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now, also, what we're going to be doing in school is regular spot checks. So the teachers, adults, learning partners regularly checking devices just to ensure there isn't any inappropriate content. So this might be pictures being taken at home, for instance. It might be so they can save Word documents and PowerPoint presentations. So just it might be they've done something inappropriate on there. That's the sort of, it won't stop anything, but we're trying to mitigate the risk. So we might pick up something if we do regular spot checks. Okay. And then the next two things really are where you guys come in. So in terms of parent carer monitoring, like you would with any home learning, you know, you'd be supporting your child to try and, you know, get on with it and support them through that process. So actually, when they're completing their home learning, it's just making sure that you're monitoring what they're doing. And as Richard said, when they are doing that home learning through the use of the devices, it's making sure they're in a public space and they're not doing it in their rooms and they're not taking the tablets upstairs and whatever. Actually, it's in the kitchen or it's in the lounge or whatever. However you want to, whatever boundary you want to set that you think is appropriate, it's just making sure that, you know, we're mitigating against that risk. And then finally, just communication with us. So what's working, what isn't, you know, knowledge is power. So making sure that you guys, you know, you're just talking to the class teacher around that. So next steps. We have to trial this because we don't want to send 450 tablets home the first weekend of summer one. Okay, because it will be complete carnage if I'm honest. So we have to trial it. The reality is we're going to trial it in 1 year group, year 3. There are lots of reasons why we have chosen year 3. I'm not going to go into detail now as to why, but if you want to find out why, by all means, come and ask me at the end. Now, the plan is with the trial in summer 1, it's only a short half term. It's only 4 weeks, which I mean, it's amazing, but you know, it's only 4 weeks, very short. So we're going to be trialing it with year 3 where they're taking it home on just the weekends. Now, in order for children to be able to take the tablets home, parents must sign a home user agreement. Now, there's a reason for this, several reasons that I'll just talk through now with you. The first thing is tablets will get, well, hopefully not, but they might get damaged, they might get lost, and it is an accident. So if we, as parents, you want the children to sort of take tablets home, part of the responsibility is signing the home user agreement. And if tablets do get lost or broken, the part of that process is just agreeing to pay £50 fee towards the replacing of that tablet. So just to put it into perspective, tablets cost £120 each to purchase, but also to get up and running with our network and the support of our IT. So it's not even paying half towards it. Also, there's, by signing that, there's oh, didn't realise that's scripted me as well. By signing that, it's an acknowledgement that, yes, they are coming home, it is still your responsibility in terms of safeguarding the children, making sure that you're making sensible decisions around where they're being kept at home. Okay, so need to sign that in order for them to come home. The important thing I want to stress here is that it's not an expectation from us. So if you don't feel comfortable with that as parents or carers, that's fine. Okay, we are not saying the children have to take the tablets home. It's a choice. It is to support some parts of their home learning, yes, but we are not going to be forcing children and forcing parents to sign it. This is completely up to you and your discretion. Okay, so it's whether you feel comfortable with it. After we've done the trial, the next process seems obvious, but we're going to be, testing the waters. Are we ready then to sort of roll it out for summer 2 for years 2, 4, 5, and 6? Okay, so we're going to be basically tweaking anything that needs to be tweaked. And then we'll roll it out to the rest of the school if we're happy with that trial. And then we'll continue to develop that as a digital strategy within our sort of curriculum subjects. So that's the plan going forward. Year 3 parents and carers, what will happen over the next couple of weeks is you will receive some information, and this will be everybody in summer 1. But over the next couple of weeks, year 3 parents specifically, you'll be receiving the home user agreement, information on the home learning policy. And basically, we want you guys to be the guinea pigs. Sounds quite bad, but actually it's just, we want you to sort of be a soundboard in terms of, what's working, what's not, what things do we need to think about going forward. Okay. And that is the sort of plan going forward. If you do have any questions, do you want to fire them across now? Interested to hear, or if you do want to come and have a quiet chat with me or Richard at the end, I'll leave it with you just to have a think, but I just want to thank you again, Richard, for coming in today. It is appreciated. I know Richard's here all day today, but yeah, so our children will have an exciting day ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say, I just had a chat with the staff back, and I just want to say this to everyone really, that this is actually really blown me away. I obviously spend most of my days working with children in schools. Most of the schools I visit, I'm going to be honest with you, the reason why I'm there is because there's been an issue or they're dealing with issues in school in regards to what their children are doing online. So I'm there to support them. I'm there to support their children, their parents and staff. But I have to say, John, that there's not many schools that I work with that are really taking this sort of all-encompassing proactive approach. And yeah, I just want to commend you as a school for doing this, because I've been visiting the school for many years now, supporting children, and we've run various sessions for staff and parents as well. But yeah, this is a really, really positive move, and it's not embracing the online world, because it's, as you said, it's not going away, and I just feel it's a really, really proactive step that is going to help your children just to become them sort of fully independent digital users that we want. And then, yeah, I just want to say, like, I'm really impressed with your approach.
Thank you.
So yeah, big pat on the back for you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, guys? Thank you, Richard. No, if you have got any, guys, and you don't want to sort of share them with everybody, by all means, just come and grab us at the end. But, oh, go on then.
At the end of the books then?
No, so part of the home learning policy, so books will still be coming home.
Yeah.
We don't want to be the end of books. There's nothing better sometimes than having a book. The purpose of Myon was just to give children a wider range of access to books that we haven't got in the library, that we haven't got shelves in classes, but they still will be coming home. But Myon is just used to support with and like I said, in terms of just using you setting your own boundaries. If you don't want to read for 20 minutes on the Myon, you'd rather than read a book for 20 minutes, well, by all means, yeah. Reading's reading, isn't it? It's just, we're trying to give children more access to more book. Thank you for your time today, guys. It is really, really appreciated. And yeah, year 3 parents, thank you for agreeing to sign up to the trial. Okay, but thank you for your time today, guys. Thank you.
I noticed that. Is there like a transcript going?
Yeah, I didn't realise there was a transcript.
That